Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rising Stars. I'm your host, Sean Watt. This production sponsored by Urban Eats MTL. Our program is to help highlight and showcase the talent pool here in Montreal. Without further ado, I'm proud to announce our next guest, Tommy Zhu. How are you, man? How's it going?
Fantastic.
Good? I'm glad that you're here. So, are you an actor, director, screenwriter?
All those things.
All of them? Okay, so
Yeah.
how'd you get into it?
So I guess like all things, it starts in my childhood.
Mhm.
I've always loved watching cartoons, reading comics.
Was there a cartoon in mind that was very particular that you enjoyed?
Some really nerdy stuff.
Like what?
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yu-Gi-Oh's
Pokemon.
awesome, though. Come on, man. Have you ever watched Digimon?
Digimon?
Yeah.
No.
No?
I
Okay.
missed the train on that.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty good show. So, okay, so you watched some cartoons, but where did the interest come?
So I saw one guy in my class. He made comics,
Hmm.
and then everyone was like, "Oh my God, you're so good at making comics. This is amazing."
Hmm.
And then I kind of looked at that and I'm like, I want that too.
Yeah.
So I started making my own comics. At first, they weren't as good, but then all throughout elementary school and high school, I got better.
Hmm.
I got better at like telling a story,
What
how
sort
to
of
frame
comics
different
that
shots.
were you creating throughout the
Um,
time?
so at first, it was very action adventure.
Okay.
A lot of goofy stuff. Then I transitioned more to comedy stuff,
Yeah.
comedy romance. And the thing about comics though, is that once you get good enough to a certain point, it becomes harder to make them because you become more perfectionist as you get better.
You start criticizing a little bit more?
Exactly.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when before in elementary school, I could make like 10 pages in maybe like a week or like
Mhm.
2 weeks. Now it was like, if I cranked out a page in like an entire week or 2 weeks, that would already be really good
Okay.
because of how high my standards were.
Have become, I guess, or how they were. And
Yeah.
okay.
So I quickly realized, okay, this is probably not the path for me.
Yeah.
So then I transitioned into writing.
Nice.
I've always enjoyed reading books. Percy Jackson was a big inspiration.
Good movies too.
Mm.
No? More the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, writing, I feel like writing, you could just like have so much more of a story.
Mhm.
And it was, I like it when you can imagine more too. Like when you're watching a movie, everything that you watch is as it is. But when it's in a book, you kind of get to create your own world.
Absolutely. You're sort of playing God at that point. Your imagination runs wild. You create it the way that you see fit, and that can translate to your writing, right?
Yeah.
So what was the very first thing that you ever wrote?
Very first thing ever?
Yeah, yeah. Because you gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the first thing I wrote professionally was Sparks, which
Okay.
is what my most recent pilot is actually based off of.
Nice.
It's like a fantasy, adventure, romance, comedy kind of thing. It's a lot of genres.
Yeah.
I don't like to box my creative works into just like one genre because I feel like
It's limiting as well?
yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you went from writing, okay, but what about acting? Like film, television, theater? How did that come to fruition for you?
So I've always had in the back of my mind this desire to act
Mhm.
and be on camera and be a presence on screen. And throughout university, obviously, I took mechanical engineering. When you do engineering, you don't really have much free time.
Yeah, it's a heavy course.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah. So did you study mechanical engineering here in Montreal or?
No, I studied
Elsewhere?
it in Kingston,
Okay,
the Royal Military College.
nice. So you're in the military. Or are you still in the military? currently?
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
Good for you.
That's my 9 to 5.
Wow. Good for you.
But going back to your original question, what was your original question again?
Now, how did you when did acting become a fruition for yourself? So when did you start
Okay,
to take
okay,
that
yeah,
step
yeah.
forward?
Okay, so I got to Montreal and then I realized, okay, I don't have homework and tests to worry about anymore. So why not do what I've always wanted to do and take an acting class?
Yeah.
And I started last February, and yeah,
So
just
where
getting
do you
close to
study
1 year
then?
now.
Yeah. Where did you study here in Montreal?
Strayon
Strayon?
acting classes.
You went there right straight to Strayon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight there.
So
I put a post in Facebook asking people like what acting class you recommend, and then I got a response from Kenny
mhm.
actually saying, "Hey, you should check out Strayon."
Yeah.
And then I checked out Kenny's IMDb account. I'm like, "Oh, you were actually in a TV show."
Mhm.
And I thought, "Oh, okay, this guy, he obviously knows what he's talking about." So
Yeah. Yeah, you did your
I'll
research.
just follow his advice.
Yeah. Yeah, you did the research. Yeah.
Mhm.
Good for you. So have you ever thought about branching out to different studios or to learn different skills elsewhere online?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think it's good to get a wide variety of instructors. I haven't yet,
Okay.
mainly because I've been busy with other things, but
Yeah, I remember when we met, you were talking about a pilot series or like a short
yes,
film.
yes.
So talk to us about that. Promote
Okay.
that. So how did you come up with the idea of your pilot project?
So it had a lot of revisions. Originally, it was based straight off of my book, Sparks. But then I quickly realized that if I tried to do a one-to-one translation, it wouldn't really work very well.
Okay.
So instead, I went more character focused.
Okay.
I kind of looked at the people in my acting class and were like, okay, what kind of a character would be good for this like actor to play? What kind of a character for this actor to play?
Mhm.
And then I kind of wrote the script around those characters. And then I feel like it ended up being a lot better than it would have been if I tried to shoehorn in
Yeah.
people that didn't really fit the characters I was looking for.
Well, that's the thing too, though, is right away you're already making it relatable to the viewers
Yeah.
because you're basing it off of real people.
Mm,
You're not just
mhm.
making up some character with these weird personas and whatever. You're basing it off of real personalities, and that's going to translate automatically to the viewers when they watch it. They're
Yeah.
going to connect with them in some weird way, either in a twisted or in a positive way,
Mhm.
right? If it's a villain or antagonist, protagonist, take it as you will. But what's this project about? Like, what's sort of like a short synopsis?
okay,
say?
a short synopsis.
Yeah.
Two con artists
Mhm.
suddenly get a mysterious visitor, and this mysterious visitor gives them an offer.
Scandalous.
Find the Ever Crown, and if they do it, they'll get 6 million ren, ren being the currency
Okay.
of the world.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, the two con artists are kind of like in disagreement with each other. One thinks that it's a really good idea. One thinks that it's not such a good idea. And so they kind of butt heads a bit, but in the end, they agree to do it. And that's where the pilot cuts off. So it's kind of like introducing the conflict, but not going too much into it yet.
It's really just a massive teaser.
Yeah, that's
it really is.
Yeah, I suppose it's more like a teaser than a pilot.
No, but it's still a pilot that leads to something where it's the viewers want to see more, right? So you're sort of hooking, you're setting the hook there, but you're not fully established yet until that next episode.
Things will make more sense in the second episode, though.
Yeah. So where do you see this going for yourself? Like in a perfect world, where would you want this pilot project to go?
So I think the healthiest way to think about it is not to have any expectations at all, just to make it for the fun of it, to get the experience. But ideally, I'd want it to be picked up for a show.
Nice. Is there a streaming platform in particular that you would prefer? In a perfect world, of course.
In a perfect world?
Yeah.
Oh, all the big ones. Netflix, Amazon Prime.
But out of them, which one would you choose? Because they're going to fight for the contracts, right? They're going to be like, well, Netflix is going to say, no, I want this. Prime's going to say the same thing.
Probably Netflix. I feel like
Yeah.
it's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more popular. I feel like Apple TV, it's known, but I
Mhm.
mean, there's less known shows on it. Netflix has like the Netflix originals, and it's been around for a little bit longer. So
Yeah.
people tend to go towards that way with online streaming. So, okay, in a perfect world, that's great.
Mm.
What about like directing? Was that the first time you've ever directed a project?
If you don't count high school short films, yes.
I mean, that still counts though.
It's
way?
different though, because I remember in high school when I was directing,
Mhm.
it would literally, I would struggle so hard just to make my friends do basic things. So it would be like, oh, like walk from this point to this point, and
Yeah.
like say these lines and don't forget them, and don't say them like dryly, put like some emotion into it.
Okay.
But this time when I was directing, it was with the experience having been an actor, taking acting classes. So
Well,
there's
also, yeah, you also know like terminology,
yeah.
the blocking now,
Mhm.
right? So your knowledge is up to date versus maybe in high school it was you didn't know any of that knowledge, so you're just like, can you walk there? And then like you have non-actors trying to be actors,
Yeah.
or just trying to dip their toes in the industry.
Mhm.
And for anybody, obviously, it's going to look a little rough, or right, but you try to
Yeah.
make the most of that experience.
It's honestly so
possible.
good working with like professional actors.
Yeah.
It's like night and day.
Yeah, it's an okay, so talk to us and maybe inform the viewers on what it's like to actually pursue acting, because a lot
Okay.
of people assume it's easy, right?
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's not. So take us through some of those steps on what someone could expect if they were to pursue acting.
Okay. I think the big one is just join an acting class.
Mhm.
That'll give you the basic foundations of acting, and also give you a bunch of like connections in the filmmaking world.
Mhm.
Also, there's probably going to be people more experienced than you are, so you could always rely on them for advice.
Always.
I think one of the biggest challenges is submitting self-tapes and not always getting the part. Like for me, I've yet to have a successful self-tape audition. And I think that's just part of the industry.
It is.
It's not always something wrong with you. It's just that the director, or like the casting director, they're just looking for something else. And that's just going to be entirely out of your control.
You're right. Based on a lot of the roles that I've booked, or commercials, or whatever it might be, non-union, union, a lot of it, I think 80% of the factor goes into the vision of the lookbook that they have, and if you match it or not. And it's also your charisma.
Yeah.
It's someone that they want to work with,
Mhm.
right? And it's all about finding sort of like, it's like matchmaking. It's like a dating show. You just want to have that same wavelength,
Mhm.
and that way it's going to ensure the process for the filming to go really smoothly. But also they take into consideration if you think outside of the box doing an audition. So you'll send your first take, do it the cliche way, and then think outside of the box. Okay, now how can I make this interesting to really stand out?
Oh yeah,
Take that risk.
You were mentioning before that you were doing an audition, and
Yeah.
you decided to go crazy with it.
Yeah. Take 2 or 3, I decide just to, I have nothing to lose. I've shown take 1 and 2. I've given them a few options. Now let's just give them an option that's going either so far left field or so far right field. And it could be hit or miss. And sometimes those are the risks that are necessary. You might have to take those risks if you feel like it. But again, that the balls would be in your court when you're doing your own audition. Trust your craft.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's one thing too, is what I've noticed when I started acting was throughout the years, you start seeing people just sort of drop off and they quit and they give up. Okay. Because patience is one of the most important skills that you can have as an actor. You have to be patient. But when you start getting those auditions, when it rains, it pours. Sometimes I'll get 3 or 4 auditions in a week now. And I'm like, oh my God, where's it coming from? Okay, here's an audition for Bulgaria or a national commercial here, right? And be prepared. So, one tip that I can give you would be wake up early, do a little bit of acting exercises yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be even acting classes. You sort of have the foundation on certain aspects of acting, but there are plenty of exercises that you can do on your own. Enunciation exercises, vocal exercises, memorizing lines on your own. And that's sort of the mentality, is that you want to improve as an artist, right? It's like a musician. They don't just play shows and that's it. No, they practice their craft, right? They're going to sit there and strum away or play on the keys and stuff. Like, you got to live that lifestyle. And then you start merging the future self of how you want to be with the present self, and everything starts becoming like manifestation, starts coming together, but in due time. It doesn't just happen like this. Never. All those Hollywood stories where it's like, oh, their overnight success took a decade minimum, right? And I've spoken to some of the actors who are like really well known here, who have been on the show. One of them is huge with like all the voiceover stuff at Ubisoft, and he said it took him like 10 or 11 years. But during that time, his partner was covering the bills for him while he pursued his craft. And now he's able to give back to her, now that he's making a living off of acting, and he can give back to her and allow her to pursue her interests in life now. Right? So it's one of those things where you really got to commit to it. If that's what you want to do, of course, right? Some people, they'll do acting classes or like public speaking classes just to do it for the enjoyment. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the key is you have to enjoy what you're doing. The time that you wake up and you're stressed or you're feeling even slightly agitated or angry, take a break or just switch to something else. So getting back on track for acting and who you are as a person, what are some of your favorite genres that you like when you're watching a film or a TV series?
Oh, okay. I think comedy is the big one for me.
Comedy?
Yeah, I think it has to make me laugh.
Yeah. Do you like action thrillers? Horror movies, maybe?
I like action movies. I like adventure movies.
Adventure, like what? Anything in particular, like Lord of the Rings or?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Kingsman was a great movie.
I've never seen that, but I love Lord of the Rings, so if it's very similar, I'll probably end up watching it.
I liked 1917. That was pretty good too.
Yeah, we spoke about that. I haven't seen that one. I did mention it was 1912, 1917. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that, but like Saving Private Ryan. Those
war movies.
War movies, yeah, they're so impactful. They're they hit the heart. It's so brutal, and there's so much action, and there's adventure, and when it's based off of or inspired by a true story, it's like wow. I don't know if you've ever seen Lone Survivor before.
Yes.
Yeah. What did you think of that movie?
It's been a while since I watched it. It was the one where all of his friends are killed, right? And it's just the one guy.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg there. Yeah, it's supposed to be based on an actual events that occurred, and at the end of the film, they show the picture with those soldiers and stuff like that. It's super intense what some of those individuals go through. So,
yeah. Man.
What about dream role?
My dream role?
Yeah. What's the character? Like if I was a director right now and I gave you that script and I'm like, you know what? You can have whatever role you want. Just sign here. What would you like to be?
Interesting. I think I've always wanted to play a villain.
A villain?
A villain, yeah.
What kind of villain?
Villain. A very smart villain that's also funny.
So sort of like Lex Luthor, Joker, maybe?
More Lex Luthor than Joker. Yeah.
So Lex Luthor, but is there a villain that you can relate that to right now? Like either in the Marvel universe, DC? So like Hannibal, he's intelligent, yet he's not funny, I guess.
Maybe imagine Deadpool, but he's the bad guy. I think something like that.
Okay, so super comical. right?
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
clumsy, meaning to do things, and he ends up like shooting someone or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, so let's be honest. What did you think of the recent movie, Deadpool Wolverine?
I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right. I
But
thought the
based
first
on
two
all
were
the
better.
hype, what did you think when
No,
you heard
so
all the hype? and
I'm
then-
not I don't follow Marvel that much. So when I saw the cameos, my friend next to me, he was like big into it. He's like, wow. Like, I think it was when what's his name? The card guy.
Gambit.
Gambit, yeah.
Yeah.
When he showed up, he was like,
Yeah.
wow. But I'm like, oh, who is this guy? I've never heard of him in my
No,
life.
Really? Oh. Okay, well, I'll be completely honest. I watched it with my brother in theaters.
Okay.
I wasn't impressed. You
Mm,
know why?
yeah.
They built up so much hype about it.
hmm
And I think it was solely based on the cameos. Because when you
Mm.
take a step back and look
Yeah,
at the
it did
broader
feel very cameo heavy.
aspects, it was... Okay, the story was short and simple.
Mhm.
You know, like I was expecting this amazing story, like sort of like the first Deadpool, Iron Man 1, where it's like meaningful, it's impactful.
Yeah.
But when I went through it, I'm like, okay, realistically, they shot in maybe 6 locations in total. And it
One was like
they
a
were-
wasteland.
Yeah, and they were just trying to be too funny.
Mm.
The whole time, it was like, okay, I get that Deadpool's supposed to be talking to the fourth wall and addressing the camera and doing certain things like that. But I was expecting a lot more.
Mhm.
And that's not to throw shade at them, but it's the hype that they're building versus the reality. It was like I was so excited that my reality was down here after.
Oh, I came in with no expectations, so
So for you,
it was
automatically
it was
up there.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just expecting a lot more, you know, and maybe I don't want to say I'm harsh at critiquing. I'm just
Mhm.
telling the truth of what I saw from my perspective, right?
hmm
And it's like I'm really story driven
Mhm.
in terms of what I want to see as a viewer, whereas a lot of people they're okay with comedy, right? Like Thor Ragnarok, it was all comedy, that movie. It wasn't even about the story anymore, and too many jokes, and sometimes you can tell that they're trying too hard. And it's like, don't try too hard. Let the comedy just come out, you know, whether it's deadpan or throughout the story, but don't solely focus on comedy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
And it seems like now every single Marvel movie that you'll watch, well, for the most part, it's just all comedic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's hard to take Marvel movies seriously, especially when the stakes are like the world's gonna end every single time. Like how
many villains want to destroy the world?
I know. It's like,
or the galaxy, you know?
yeah, just have like a small villain, you know, make it personal. I feel
Yeah.
like that's way more interesting than watching Galanderthal destroy worlds come back for like the 1,000th time.
Yeah, I know, and they still end up like defeating him, but then they don't know how to defeat him this time because now he has rings or whatever, right? So yeah, no, that's the cold hard truth. But yeah, man, thank you for being here. So
Oh, thank you for
it was
having
a
me.
pleasure having you on the show, man. I'm wishing you nothing but the best. Before we do wrap up, I have one last question.
Okay.
What's something, or you know, some advice that you can give to, you know, that maybe it's a kid or a teenager who's watching this interview right now and they're on the fence about acting? What's something that you can just tell them to really have them pursue acting if they love it at heart?
I'd say go ahead and try it. Like find an acting class, maybe join a theater group if you can. But acting is definitely a very social, or I guess group kind of activity. Like it's hard to be an actor just by yourself.
Yeah.
So I think I struggled a bit with that before, where I thought, okay, I like to act, but there's no one around me likes acting. So it kind of dampened my interest in it for a while. But when you find like a good group of people, they're all interested in acting, you get together, you work on projects together, then things will just take off.
Yeah. And it kind of feels like home at that point too, where it's just so comforting. And that's where sort of the aspect in life is when you start pursuing acting, you start losing certain friends that just don't understand the industry. And that's just normal. That's like any career.
It is really hard to
right?
explain acting to non-acting
It
people.
is. And that's
sure.
why this is sort of like your herd. Once you find that herd, you want to stick with them because then you guys are on the same wavelength. It's fun, entertaining, right? And it doesn't even feel like work at a certain point when you start getting,
No, it really doesn't.
it's just playing pretend, and letting that inner child out. And I think that's very beautiful.
Oh yeah,
It really is.
The best moments in acting are when you like just totally let go.
Yeah.
You're in the moment. You're not thinking of, oh, am I like being perceived this way? Like, how does the camera see me? It's like, nope, you're just in the moment. You're having fun. You're embodying the character. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. And I can't say that any better. And I think it's like, it's a huge monkey off your back when you don't have to worry about your lines, right?
Oh yeah.
You throw them off. So once you've mastered your lines, or if they allow you to improvise, it's just that much more enjoyable. All right. Well, that is another episode of Rising Stars, guys. I'm your host, Sean Watt. This production sponsored by Urban Eats MTL. I'll catch you guys on the next episode.